Fall asleep to let reality shift around who you're becoming. There are nights when the weight of life presses down so heavily that even sleep feels like surrender. You lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering why the days repeat themselves like a broken record. You want change. You crave a new chapter. Yet no matter how hard you push during the day, the next morning feels the same. Your job is still draining, your relationships still fragile, your dreams still distant. You ask yourself quietly, why is nothing shifting for me? Why do I feel trapped in the same loop even when I try so hard to break it? I know this ache because I have lived it. For years, I thought change came from grinding harder, pushing myself further, fighting reality with sheer will. But the more I fought, the more stuck I felt. Until one night, exhausted and empty, I discovered something so simple, yet so revolutionary. The most powerful shifts in life do not begin in the daylight of effort, but in the silence of the night. Transformation happens not when you are forcing, but when you are allowing. Not when you are awake, but when your subconscious is listening. And the truth is this, as you fall asleep, you are either rehearsing the same old version of yourself, or you are birthing the new one. Here lies the secret that few ever uncover. Reality does not shift because you chase it. Reality shifts because you shift. Your outer world is not the master, it is the mirror. It bends and reshapes itself around the person you are becoming. If you remain chained to the old patterns in your subconscious, reality will echo those chains no matter how much you long for freedom. But if you reprogram your nights, if you feed your subconscious with alignment, courage, and vision, then reality has no choice but to rearrange itself around your new vibration. This is not magic. It is law. You do not attract what you want. You attract who you are. And so this journey you are about to take is not just another collection of ideas. It is a sacred invitation. An invitation to use the most overlooked hours of your life, your nights, to shift the deepest layers of your identity. To stop falling asleep as the old version of yourself and start falling asleep as the person you are becoming. Night after night, seed after seed, vibration after vibration, you will rewrite your subconscious. And as you do, the world around you will begin to tilt, to bend, to shift, until one day you wake up not into the same old loop, but into the life you were meant to live. If you walk with me to the end of this book, you will discover how to turn your sleep into the most powerful practice of transformation. You will learn to silence fear, to rewrite wounds, to awaken creativity, to root unshakable belief, and to cultivate peace so deep that no storm can shake it. You will no longer wake as the same person who went to bed. And as your inner self evolves, your outer reality will follow like a shadow that cannot resist its source. This is the philosophy I ask you to embrace. Reality is not fixed. It is fluid. It is alive. And it is bending even now to the shape of who you are daring to become. The only question is, will you give yourself permission to step into the new you? If you do, your nights will no longer be wasted unconsciousness. They will be the workshop of your destiny. Tonight, as you close your eyes, you are not merely sleeping. You are shifting reality itself. Chapter 1. Surrender to the night and let your subconscious lead the way. When the sun sets and the noise of the world finally quiets, a doorway opens that most people never walk through. They collapse into bed carrying with them the same worries, the same memories, the same fears they rehearsed during the day. They think sleep is nothing more than escape, a temporary pause before the cycle begins again. But in truth, sleep is not escape, it is creation. The hours you spend in unconsciousness are not wasted. They are sculpting your future. Every night, your subconscious writes the script of your tomorrow. The question is not whether your subconscious is writing, but whether you are guiding its hand. I remember nights when I dragged my exhaustion into bed, mind racing with unfinished tasks and buried regrets. I thought rest would reset me, but I would wake heavier as though my dreams had only deepened the weight. What I did not realize was that my subconscious had been left unchecked, replaying old stories of fear and limitation. And so each morning I stepped back into the same reality because the same identity had been reinforced in me overnight. That cycle lasted for years until the night I chose to surrender differently. Instead of collapsing in frustration, I chose to prepare my subconscious with intention. I gave it the language of peace, the rhythm of courage, the vibration of the self I wanted to become. That night was the first time I understood the power of surrender, not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of alignment. This is the struggle so many face. They try to shift reality by force, grinding through the day, hustling against circumstances, wearing themselves out with constant effort. They measure progress only in the visible, believing change must come from what they do while awake. But this obsession with control only deepens their frustration. The truth is, no matter how hard they push during the day, if their nights are spent rehearsing fear, doubt, and limitation, then their reality will never shift. You cannot plant weeds in the night and expect flowers in the morning. The subconscious is always practicing, and whatever it practices while you sleep becomes the life you step into when you wake. The reason people remain stuck is because they underestimate the power of the subconscious. They think transformation is a matter of willpower, but willpower is fragile. It bends in the face of habit. It fades in the presence of fatigue. The subconscious, however, does not tire. It does not forget. It operates beneath the surface, silently pulling the strings of behavior, emotion, and belief. If your subconscious has been rehearsing failure for years, no amount of morning motivation can undo it. By noon, the old script takes over. That is why so many live in cycles of temporary hope followed by inevitable relapse. They keep trying to live as someone new with a subconscious that still believes in the old. Here lies the shift. Reality bends not to what you do occasionally, but to who you are consistently. And who you are consistently is determined by the rehearsals of your subconscious. Each night you fall asleep, you are either feeding the old identity or nourishing the new one. If you fall asleep in fear, you will wake in fear. If you fall asleep in alignment, you will wake in strength. The night is the rehearsal hall of the soul, and the performance is your life. Think of a musician preparing for a concert. The audience only sees the performance, but the true transformation happens in the rehearsals no one witnesses. Night after night, the musician trains, adjusts, practices, until the music flows naturally. In the same way, your subconscious rehearses every night. The audience, your life, only reveals what was practiced in secret. If you want a new song, you must rehearse a new melody. I once met a man who told me his life never seemed to change, no matter how many courses he took or how much he worked on self-improvement. He consumed knowledge constantly, but lived the same patterns. When I asked about his nights, he admitted he fell asleep every evening, scrolling through news arguments and endless distractions. He thought it was harmless. But those final moments before sleep are the doorway to the subconscious. He had been planting chaos and fear into the soil of his nights, and his life was bearing the fruit of that planting. When he began a simple practice of aligning his nights, listening to calming frequencies, setting intention before bed, rehearsing the identity, he wanted his mornings shifted. Soon, his reality did too. The night is not passive, it is powerful. When you lie down, you are not just ending your day, you are beginning your future. Every thought, every feeling, every vibration you carry into sleep becomes a seed. And seeds do not remain seeds, they grow. The soil does not ask whether the seed is good or bad. It simply grows what it receives. Your subconscious is the same. It does not question, it amplifies. If you feed it fear, it multiplies fear. If you feed it courage, it multiplies courage. If you feed it vision, it multiplies vision. This is why surrendering to the night with intention is not optional, it is essential. The invitation I give you is simple. Stop treating sleep as escape. Begin treating it as creation. Before you close your eyes, ask yourself, who am I rehearsing tonight? Am I reinforcing the old self, or am I nurturing the new one? Then prepare your subconscious the way a gardener prepares soil. Remove the weeds of worry, plant the seeds of alignment, and trust the process. You may not see the growth immediately, but you will feel it. One morning you will wake lighter. Another morning you will notice courage where there was once fear. Another you will realize that your reality has quietly shifted around the person you are becoming. It is not about perfection. You will have nights when fear still whispers, when old patterns try to take root again. That is natural. The power lies in persistence. Night after night, surrender after surrender, your subconscious will learn a new rhythm. Just as rivers carve valleys through repetition, alignment will carve new pathways in your mind. And once those pathways are established, peace and courage will flow effortlessly. Surrender to the night does not mean giving up control of your life. It means giving up the illusion that you must fight alone. It means trusting the process of alignment, allowing your subconscious to do what your conscious mind cannot. It means resting in the truth that you do not have to push endlessly for transformation, because the deepest shifts happen not by force, but by flow. Tonight, when you close your eyes, remember this. You are not just falling asleep. You are stepping into the workshop of your future. The person you are becoming is waiting for you in the silence. Surrender to the night. Give your subconscious the tools it needs. And watch as reality bends quietly, powerfully, unavoidably around who you are daring to be. If you have felt something stir inside you as you read this, it is because you already know this truth. You are ready to stop drifting and start creating. Share this with someone who has been stuck in cycles of exhaustion and frustration, who needs to remember that their nights are not wasted. And subscribe to continue walking with me, because together we are not only changing our days, we are rewriting our nights. And through our nights, we will reshape our reality. Chapter 2. Why change feels impossible until you shift your inner script. There is a cruel frustration that many people carry in silence. They wake each morning determined to live differently, to break old habits, to speak with more confidence, to choose better relationships, to walk in the direction of their dreams. Yet by the end of the day, they find themselves repeating the very patterns they swore they would leave behind. It is as if some invisible gravity pulls them back into who they used to be. They whisper to themselves, maybe I am just not capable of changing. Maybe this is who I really am. That whisper becomes a weight, and soon they stop believing that transformation is possible at all. I understand that weight because I once lived under it. There was a time when I devoured books, watched endless motivational speeches, and filled journals with plans. Every morning felt like a fresh start, but every evening felt like failure. I told myself I lacked discipline, that I needed more willpower, that if I just tried harder I could finally break through. But the harder I tried, the heavier the resistance became. It was like running with chains on my ankles. The world told me to hustle more, push more, grind more, but no matter how much I forced, I woke up into the same loop. Here is the truth. Most people never hear change feels impossible, not because you are weak, but because you are rehearsing the wrong script. Your conscious mind may desire transformation, but your subconscious has been programmed to repeat the old identity. The subconscious does not obey what you want. It obeys what you rehearse. And if you go to bed rehearsing fear, shame, regret, or doubt, then your subconscious performs that script the next day. You wake up already behind, already heavy, already pulled toward the past. It is not lack of effort, it is misalignment of script. Imagine an actor preparing for a play. During the day, he tells everyone he wants to play a bold, heroic role. He dreams of standing in the spotlight, speaking lines of courage and strength. But at night, he secretly rehearses the script of a fearful, broken character. Which role do you think he will perform when the curtain rises? No matter his daytime desires, his performance will mirror his nighttime rehearsal. In the same way, your life is not shaped by what you say you want, but by what your subconscious rehearses in the dark. This is why so many live in cycles of self-sabotage. They chase change in the daylight but undo it in the night. They fill their subconscious with noise before bed news, designed to stir fear, endless scrolling, designed to numb conversations laced with comparison or resentment. Then they wonder why they wake heavy. They wonder why their goals feel distant, why courage slips away, why the day feels like climbing uphill with no end. Their subconscious is simply playing the script it was given. The breakthrough comes when you realize this. You cannot fight reality on the outside until you shift the script on the inside. The subconscious is the director of your play. Change the script and the performance must change. Change the rehearsal and the role you play in life cannot remain the same. This is not about forcing yourself into discipline, but about surrendering to a new identity so deeply that it becomes effortless. Why does the subconscious hold such power? Because it was built to protect you. From childhood, your mind stored experiences, emotions, and beliefs, creating patterns meant to keep you safe. But safety and growth rarely align. The subconscious believes it is protecting you by keeping you small, repeating the known, resisting the unfamiliar. That is why stepping into your new self feels terrifying. It is not that you are weak. It is that your subconscious has confused the familiar with the safe. It clings to old patterns because they are known even if they are painful. Think of a prisoner who has been confined for decades. When the gates finally open, he steps out into freedom but feels paralyzed. The world beyond the walls is unfamiliar, overwhelming. Part of him longs to run back inside where at least the routines are predictable. Many of us live the same way. Our subconscious has been imprisoned by old scripts. When we try to step into freedom, it resists, not because freedom is wrong, but because freedom is unfamiliar. The shift begins when you realize you can write a new script. You can feed your subconscious not fear, but courage, not regret, but forgiveness, not scarcity, but abundance, not doubt, but trust. And the most powerful time to write that script is at night. When the conscious mind grows quiet, the subconscious becomes open, receptive, listening. This is why the last thoughts before sleep matter so deeply. They do not vanish into the darkness, they echo through your subconscious until dawn. I remember the first time I decided to intentionally shift my night script. Instead of scrolling through distractions, I spoke aloud the identity I wanted to embody. I whispered, I am becoming more courageous each day. I am worthy of love and opportunity. My life is expanding with peace and clarity. I repeated it until I felt my body soften, until my breath deepened, until my mind surrendered to sleep. That night, my dreams were different, and the next morning, so was I. I woke with a subtle lightness, as if my cells had rehearsed a new melody. From that moment, I knew I was not trapped. Reality was not fixed. It was simply mirroring the script I fed it. The most tragic mistake is believing that because yesterday looked like today, tomorrow must look the same. That is a lie whispered by a rehearsed subconscious. You are not chained to the past. You are not doomed to repeat. The script can be rewritten, but it requires the courage to surrender old rehearsals and trust new ones. It requires choosing every night to feed your subconscious with alignment instead of distraction. It requires faith that seeds planted in the dark will bear fruit in the light. This is the powerful mindset shift I offer you. Stop asking, why is change so hard? Start asking, what script am I rehearsing when the world goes silent? The answer to that question will reveal why your reality feels stuck. And the moment you change the rehearsal, you begin to change the performance. So tonight, when you lay down, remember this truth. You are not powerless. You are not weak. You are simply rehearsing the wrong script. Replace it with words of courage, with visions of the self you are becoming, with frequencies that match the life you desire. Let your subconscious rehearse freedom, and you will wake free. Let it rehearse abundance, and you will wake abundant. Let it rehearse love, and you will wake loved. Reality has no choice but to shift around who you are rehearsing to be. If this resonates with you, take a moment now. Do not wait. Write down the script you want your subconscious to rehearse tonight. Speak it aloud before you sleep. And share this message with someone else who has been trapped in cycles of false impossibility. Because when one of us rewrites our script, we show others it is possible too. And if you want to walk further with me in this journey, subscribe so we can continue reshaping not only our nights, but our entire lives together. Chapter 3. The invisible chains of fear that follow you into sleep. There is a weight that lingers long after the day is over. You may turn off the lights, close the curtains, and pull the blanket over your body, but the fears you carried in daylight follow you into the night. They do not respect your exhaustion. They do not let you rest. They whisper in the silence. What if you fail again? What if no one believes in you? What if tomorrow is just another disappointment? And so even as your body lies still, your soul keeps running. Sleep becomes shallow. Dreams become restless. You wake not refreshed but drained, as though the night has betrayed you. Fear is not only an emotion, it is a script. It repeats itself so consistently that your subconscious begins to accept it as truth. A child who once feared rejection becomes an adult who rehearses unworthiness before sleep. A teenager who once failed in front of peers becomes an adult who rehearses shame in the quiet hours. These invisible chains do not disappear with age. They deepen. They sink roots into the subconscious until fear becomes the soil from which every thought grows. And when fear is the soil, no matter what seeds you try to plant in daylight, they wither before they bloom. I used to believe fear was something I could outrun. I thought if I worked harder, achieved more, proved myself louder, the fear would finally quiet. But the truth is, fear cannot be silenced by force. It grows stronger when you resist it. The more you fight, the more it weaves itself into your nights. What I had to learn was this: fear is not a wall to be smashed, but a chain to be dissolved. And the place to dissolve it is not in the frenzy of the day, but in the surrender of the night. Why do people remain trapped in cycles of fear? Because they never allow their subconscious to learn a different rhythm. They go to bed still carrying the heaviness of the day. They lie down but never truly let go. Their minds replay conversations, mistakes, missed opportunities, and unspoken regrets. They think this is harmless, just processing the day, but what they are really doing is rehearsing chains. And every night they do it, those chains grow tighter. Think of a soldier returning from war. Even when he is safe at home, he wakes in the night to the sound of battles that are no longer there. His subconscious has been trained to rehearse danger even in silence. In the same way, many of us are soldiers of our own fears. We may live in safe rooms, yet we still fight battles that no longer exist. Our subconscious has been trained to expect pain, to rehearse danger, to anticipate failure, and so reality bends to match those expectations. But here is the truth. Fear is not permanent. Fear is not your identity. Fear is a script, and scripts can be rewritten. The key is not to deny fear, but to retrain the subconscious with a stronger vibration. And the night is the most powerful place to do this. When you fall asleep with words of peace, with frequencies of safety, with visions of the life you are stepping into, your subconscious learns that it no longer needs to rehearse danger. Slowly, the chains begin to loosen. One night at a time, fear loses its grip. I remember one season of my life when fear consumed me. Every night I rehearsed failure in my mind, how I might lose everything, how I might disappoint those I loved, how I might never rise to my potential. It was a cycle so heavy that even when opportunities came, I sabotaged them because my subconscious was already convinced I was destined to fail. Then one night, exhausted beyond words, I decided to try something different. I whispered aloud before sleep, I am safe. I am supported. I am growing into strength. I release what no longer belongs to me. I repeated it until my body softened, and for the first time in years, I woke without heaviness. That morning did not erase all fear, but it planted a new rhythm. Night after night, I rehearsed peace instead of fear, and slowly my reality began to follow. Fear is like a shadow. It cannot survive in the presence of consistent light. The problem is most people only shine the light of courage during the day. At night, they let the shadow return. But if you bring the light into your nights, the shadow loses its home. Your subconscious begins to rehearse safety instead of danger, courage instead of panic, trust instead of doubt. And the more it rehearses, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, fear no longer feels like chains. It feels like a memory of a life you once lived but no longer belong to. This is the power of surrendering your nights. You do not need to fight fear with force. You simply need to give your subconscious a different melody to sing. Use the final moments before sleep to speak words of peace. Play sounds that carry frequencies of calm. Visualize yourself walking boldly into the future you desire. These are not empty rituals, they are rehearsals. And rehearsals become reality. I want you to ask yourself this tonight. What fear have I been rehearsing in my sleep? What chains have I been carrying into the silence? Write it down. Do not run from it. Face it. And then choose to give your subconscious a new script. One that says, I am free. I am safe. I am enough. My life is expanding into courage and light. Say it until your body believes it. Say it until your breath deepens. Say it until sleep carries it into your subconscious. This is how chains are broken not by force, but by consistent rehearsal of freedom. Remember, this fear is not your destiny. Fear is not who you are. Fear is only a shadow of the past, and shadows cannot survive in the light of intention. Let your nights be the place where shadows dissolve. Let your subconscious learn what it feels like to rest in safety, to breathe in peace, to step into courage. When you do, your mornings will no longer be heavy. They will be filled with clarity. Your reality will no longer mirror chains, it will mirror freedom. If this truth resonates with you, share it with someone else who has been bound by invisible chains. Let them know that freedom is possible, that nights do not have to be filled with fear, and subscribe to stay connected, because together we are learning to turn our nights into gateways of transformation. Fear may have followed you into the past, but it does not need to follow you into the future. Tonight, you can choose differently. Tonight, you can rehearse freedom. Chapter 4. Releasing the past each night so the future can find you. There is a reason so many people wake up feeling as if they are dragging yesterday into today. They lie down at night, but they do not release. They carry every regret, every conversation, every failure, every judgment into their sleep. Their bodies may rest, but their souls remain entangled in the weight of what has already happened. And when they open their eyes in the morning, it is no wonder they feel unchanged. They never truly allowed the night to wash them clean. The past is a stubborn guest. It knocks on your door long after the party is over. It whispers reminders of moments you cannot undo. It replays mistakes as though they define you. And the tragedy is that many believe these whispers are truth. They believe their past has the right to dictate their present. But here is what most forget. The past is not a prison unless you rehearse it every night. The subconscious does not know the difference between what happened yesterday and what you choose to relive in memory. If you feed it pain, it will grow pain. If you feed it freedom, it will grow freedom. I once knew a woman who could not escape the shadow of her childhood. Every night she lay in bed rehearsing the rejection she had felt from her parents. Every morning she woke heavy, unable to trust love, unable to step into opportunities. Her past had become her script, and her subconscious performed it flawlessly. For years she believed she was broken, but the truth was she was not broken, she was rehearsing brokenness. When she finally chose to release those memories at night, whispering words of forgiveness before sleep, Her mornings began to shift. Slowly, opportunities appeared. Slowly, love felt possible. Slowly, the past lost its power because it was no longer being rehearsed. Why is releasing the past so hard? Because the subconscious clings to what is familiar, even if it is painful. Pain becomes a strange form of comfort. You tell yourself, at least I know this story. At least I know how this feels. The unknown of freedom feels scarier than the known of pain. And so you rehearse the old script because it feels safer even as it suffocates you. But safety built on pain is not safety at all. It is just a slower form of destruction. The night gives you the perfect chance to release. When the world grows silent, when your body grows still, you have the opportunity to lay down not just your body but your burdens. But most people miss this chance. They close their eyes still carrying the weight, and their subconscious absorbs it like a sponge. If you want your reality to shift, you must use the night as a place of letting go. You must train your subconscious to believe that the past is over and the future is waiting. This is not easy. Forgiveness is not easy. Releasing is not easy, but it is necessary. Holding on to the past is like carrying stones into your sleep. Each night you pile them higher, and each morning you wonder why you cannot run freely. The truth is, you were never meant to carry those stones forever. They were lessons, not luggage. They were chapters, not the whole story. The night is your chance to close the book and begin a new one. I remember a season when I could not forgive myself. Every night I replayed the choices I regretted, the people I had hurt, the opportunities I had wasted. It became a cycle of self-punishment. I thought rehearsing the pain would somehow redeem me, but all it did was bury me deeper. The shift came when I began speaking these words before bed. I release myself. I forgive myself. I am learning. I am growing. I am free to step into the new. At first it felt false. My subconscious resisted. But night after night the words carved new grooves, and slowly I woke with less shame. Slowly I began to believe that the past had no claim on my future. The reason this works is because the subconscious listens most closely when the conscious mind is quiet. During the day, your conscious mind debates, doubts, resists. But at night, when you are drifting into sleep, the subconscious is open. It is like soft soil waiting for seeds. If you plant regret, regret will grow. If you plant forgiveness, forgiveness will grow. This is why it is not enough to want freedom. You must rehearse freedom. Think of it like clearing a garden. If weeds have overtaken the soil, no new seeds can thrive. In the same way, your subconscious cannot grow a new reality while the past is choking its roots. Releasing is like pulling out weeds. It makes space. It creates room for something new to take hold. And the night is the perfect time to pull them out, because the subconscious is most ready to let go when you are surrendering into sleep. This is what I want you to try tonight before you close your eyes. Speak aloud what you are releasing. Do not bury it. Do not ignore it. Name it. Say, I release the shame of yesterday. I release the fear that has followed me. I release the words that were spoken over me. I release the identity that no longer belongs to me. And then breathe deeply, as if with each breath you are loosening the chains of the past. Let your body soften into the truth that you do not have to carry it anymore. You will not release everything in one night. Some chains take time to dissolve, but with each night of practice the grip loosens. The memories lose their power. The weight becomes lighter. And one morning you will wake and realize that the past no longer owns you. You will realize that the future has finally found space to enter. This is the beauty of surrendering to the night. It is not just about sleep. It is about transformation. It is about giving yourself permission to close yesterday's door so that tomorrow's door can open. When you release the past each night, you create room for the future to meet you in the morning. So I ask you now, what are you carrying into your nights that no longer belongs to you? What regrets? What wounds, what voices of yesterday are stealing the stage from your tomorrow tonight? You have a choice. You can carry them again or you can release them. You can rehearse pain or you can rehearse peace. You can sleep chained or you can sleep free. And whatever you rehearse, your reality will reflect. If these words have touched something inside you, share them with someone who has been held hostage by their past. Let them know that freedom begins in the night. And subscribe so we can continue this journey together night after night, releasing the past and stepping into the future, because the truth is, the future is already waiting. It is just waiting for you to let go of yesterday. Chapter 5. Planting the seeds of your new self while the world sleeps. There is something almost sacred about the silence of the night. The streets grow quiet, the screens dim, the conversations end, and for a few precious hours, the noise of the world fades away. It is in that silence that the most powerful work of your life can begin. For while the world sleeps, you have the opportunity to plant seeds that will grow into the person you are becoming. No audience watches. No pressure demands. It is just you, your breath, and the soil of your subconscious waiting to receive what you give it. But too often people waste this sacred moment. They fall asleep rehearsing anger, feeding worry, drowning in distraction. They treat their subconscious like a garbage bin dumping in the waste of the day. And then they wake surprised that their reality still feels cluttered, chaotic, and heavy. What they do not realize is that the subconscious is not a bin. It is a garden. It grows whatever is planted. If you plant weeds, you will harvest weeds. If you plant truth, vision, peace, and courage, you will harvest a life that reflects those very seeds. This is why the night is not simply a pause in your story. It is the place where your new story begins. Each night you are faced with a choice. Will you rehearse the person you used to be, or will you plant the seeds of the person you are becoming? One choice keeps you in repetition. The other choice shifts reality itself. I remember a season when my nights were careless. I would fall asleep scrolling endlessly, feeding my mind with random noise. I told myself it was harmless, just a way to unwind. But the truth is, I was planting seeds of distraction, comparison, and scarcity. And when I woke, those seeds bore fruit. My mornings were restless, my days lacked clarity, my heart carried a subtle heaviness. I was living in a harvest I had unconsciously planted. The shift began when I decided to treat my nights as sacred. Before bed, I would close my eyes and imagine myself as the person I longed to become, not someday, but now. I would see myself walking with confidence, speaking with clarity, building with purpose, living in abundance. I would let those visions soak into my subconscious like seeds into soil. And then I would whisper words of alignment. I am becoming stronger. I am expanding into peace. I am worthy of love. I am creating a life that reflects my truth. At first it felt strange, even artificial. But as nights passed, I began to notice a quiet transformation. My mornings grew lighter, my actions grew bolder, my reality began to bend to the seeds I had planted. This is the truth most people miss. Reality is not shaped in the noise of the day, but in the silence of the night. The subconscious does not argue, it does not doubt. It simply receives. It takes whatever you give it and multiplies it. If you give it vision, it multiplies vision. If you give it despair, it multiplies despair. You cannot escape planting, you can only choose what you plant. Why does planting at night matter so much? Because the mind is most receptive when the conscious guard is down. During the day, your conscious mind filters, questions, resists. It blocks new beliefs with old habits. But at night, as you drift toward sleep, the filter loosens. The subconscious becomes soft soil ready to be shaped. This is why your final thoughts before sleep carry such power. They are not passing moments, they are seeds that shape tomorrow. The tragedy is that most people do not know this. They fall asleep rehearsing scarcity, telling themselves, I will never have enough. I will never be enough. They fall asleep replaying arguments, failures, and regrets. They fall asleep numbed by distraction, feeding their subconscious with chaos. And then they wonder why reality never shifts. They do not see that the harvest matches the seed. But imagine if you used the night differently. Imagine if instead of collapsing into bed with the weight of the day, you treated your final moments as a sacred ritual. Imagine if you fed your subconscious with gratitude, with vision, with courage, with peace. Imagine if you fell asleep rehearsing not the old identity, but the new one. Night after night, those seeds would grow. They would root deep in your subconscious, and reality, like a faithful mirror, would shift to reflect them. Think of the farmer who rises each morning to check his fields. He does not expect fruit on the first day, but he knows that what he planted will grow. He trusts the process. He tends the soil. He waits with patience. And in time, the harvest comes. In the same way, you must trust the seeds you plant at night. You may not see transformation after one evening, but do not mistake delay for denial. The subconscious is working beneath the surface, and in time you will wake into a harvest that matches your planting. This is why I call the night a workshop of destiny. It is not empty sleep, it is silent creation. Every night you are shaping the architecture of your future, and the most powerful part is that no one else can interfere. No voice of doubt, no external obstacle, no circumstance can block what you choose to plant in the silence. Reality must bend to the seeds that are rehearsed consistently. Tonight, I want you to ask yourself, what seeds am I planting? If you have been planting fear, plant courage instead. If you have been planting shame, plant forgiveness. If you have been planting scarcity, plant gratitude. If you have been planting chaos, plant peace. Your subconscious is waiting, and the soil is ready. All it needs is the seed you choose to give it. When you lie down tonight, speak your new identity aloud. Whisper it until it feels real. Imagine yourself living it until your body relaxes into it. Play sounds that match the frequency of peace and expansion. Let yourself drift into sleep not as who you were, but as who you are becoming. And trust that reality is already bending to the seeds you planted. Remember this, the harvest of your life is not random. It is the echo of your rehearsals. If you want to change your reality, change your nights. If you want to shift who you are, shift the seeds you plant when the world is silent. And if you do this consistently, there will come a morning when you open your eyes and realize that your old life is gone. Not because you fought harder, but because you planted differently. If this message has awakened something in you, share it with someone who has been living in the harvest of weeds, someone who needs to know they can plant a new future tonight. And subscribe to continue this journey with me, because we are not just dreaming, we are planting. And the world we wake into will always be the garden of what we sowed in silence. Chapter 6. The quiet rehearsal of courage that shapes tomorrow. There is a hidden truth about courage that most people never understand. It is not something you summon in the heat of the moment, in the battle, or in the spotlight. Courage is not born in the noise of decision, but in the silence of rehearsal. It begins long before the stage, long before the test, long before the challenge. It begins in the secret spaces where no one is watching, often when you are drifting into sleep. For in those silent hours, your subconscious is listening. It hears the words you whisper. It absorbs the images you replay, and it rehearses them until they become the natural language of your soul. Most people think they are afraid because life is overwhelming, but fear does not rise from circumstances. It rises from rehearsals. If you have been rehearsing danger, your body will respond with panic. If you have been rehearsing failure, your heart will tighten at every opportunity. If you have been rehearsing rejection, every relationship will feel like a risk. The subconscious cannot tell the difference between real danger and imagined danger. It reacts to what you feed it. And so, without knowing, people live in fear, not because of reality, but because of the scripts they replay each night. This is why courage must be rehearsed. Not once, not loudly, but quietly, consistently, secretly. Before bed, when the guard of the conscious mind begins to lower, that is when you plant the seeds of bravery. That is when you whisper to yourself, I am stronger than the voices of doubt. I am capable of facing what tomorrow brings. I am safe to step forward. At first, the words may feel small, almost powerless. But courage does not roar in the beginning. It starts as a quiet rhythm, and with repetition it grows louder until one day it becomes the most natural sound in your soul. I once knew a man who was terrified of speaking in front of others. His hands shook, his voice trembled, his chest tightened whenever he was asked to share. For years he avoided every opportunity. He told himself he was simply not born for it. But the truth was not that he lacked ability. It was that he had rehearsed fear more than he had rehearsed courage. Every night he replayed his failures, imagining the laughter of others. His subconscious absorbed those rehearsals, and by the time morning came, fear felt inevitable. His shift began when he tried a different rehearsal. Each night before sleep, he closed his eyes and imagined himself speaking with calm strength. He saw himself standing tall, his voice steady, his presence magnetic. He whispered aloud, I speak with clarity. I share with confidence. My voice carries value. For weeks it felt awkward, almost delusional. But slowly something shifted. The shaking lessened. His voice steadied. And one day when he stood before others, courage did not need to be forced. It simply arrived because it had already been rehearsed. This is how courage works. It is not a miracle that appears when you need it most. It is the fruit of rehearsals planted in silence. If you want to face tomorrow with strength, you must rehearse strength tonight. If you want to walk into new opportunities with confidence, you must rehearse confidence in the quiet hours. Your subconscious is not your enemy, it is your partner. But like any partner, it will echo whatever rhythm you give it. Why do so many people fail to step into courage? Because they underestimate the power of the unseen. They believe courage is about bold gestures, about moments of intensity. But the unseen is always stronger than the seen. The quiet rehearsals of the night shape the loud decisions of the day. If you neglect the night, you will collapse under the weight of the day. But if you master the night, the day bends to your strength. Think of an athlete. His performance on the field is not built in the roar of the crowd, but in the silent hours of training when no one is watching. His body remembers the drills, the repetitions, the discipline. And in the moment of pressure, he does not need to think. His body simply executes what it has rehearsed. In the same way, courage in the moments of pressure is simply the execution of what your subconscious has rehearsed in silence. If you have rehearsed fear, fear will come. If you have rehearsed courage, courage will flow. This is why your nights are sacred. They are not empty pauses, they are rehearsals. They are the private training grounds where courage is built or broken. If you choose to fill your nights with distraction, fear, and chaos, your subconscious will carry those rehearsals into tomorrow. But if you choose to rehearse courage, peace, and strength, your subconscious will deliver them exactly when you need them. Reality is not magic, it is memory. And your subconscious remembers what you feed it. I want you to try something tonight. Before you close your eyes, imagine the version of yourself who faces life with boldness. See yourself walking into the situations you fear most, but this time with calmness, strength, and clarity. Do not rush the vision. Feel it, hear it, let it play in your mind as though it is already real, and then whisper aloud, I am courageous, I am steady, I am safe to step into the unknown. Repeat it until your body begins to relax, until your breath deepens, until your subconscious accepts it as truth. This is not fantasy, it is rehearsal, and rehearsal becomes reality. The truth is, you already know how to rehearse. You have been doing it your whole life. You have rehearsed shame, you have rehearsed fear, you have rehearsed rejection. That is why they feel so natural. But the same way you rehearsed pain, you can rehearse courage. And once courage feels natural, fear will no longer control you. It will become a faint echo, a background noise unable to dictate your choices. Remember, this courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to rehearse strength until it becomes stronger than fear. And every night you have the power to build it. Do not waste your nights feeding your subconscious with the same chains that held you yesterday. Use them to rehearse the freedom of tomorrow, one whisper at a time, one vision at a time, one rehearsal at a time. If this message has stirred something within you, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who has been trapped in fear, someone who needs to know that courage is not a gift for the few, but a rehearsal for the willing. And subscribe so you do not miss the next step in this journey, because together we are learning to use the silence of the night as the most powerful rehearsal of our lives. Chapter 7. The hidden dialogue between your dreams and your destiny. Every night when you close your eyes, another world opens. A world where images, symbols, and feelings rise from the depths of your subconscious. Most call this world dreams, and they dismiss it as random, chaotic, meaningless. But what if your dreams are not random at all? What if they are a dialogue, a conversation between who you have been and who you are becoming? What if every dream carries a message guiding you closer to your destiny? The truth is, dreams are not accidents. They are the language of your subconscious, and your subconscious is always speaking. During the day, its voice is drowned out by noise, distractions, and responsibilities. But at night, when the conscious mind finally grows quiet, the subconscious takes the stage. It paints pictures. It weaves stories. It gives you glimpses of what you fear, what you desire, what you need to release, and what you are capable of becoming. And if you learn to listen, those dreams can become a map leading you to transformation. Yet most people ignore this dialogue. They wake up, dismiss their dreams as nonsense, and rush into their day without reflection. They miss the whispers of their destiny because they are too busy chasing noise. This is why so many stay stuck. They are not paying attention to the conversation that is happening every single night between their inner self and their greater future. I remember a man who told me he dreamed almost every night of climbing a staircase but never reaching the top. At first, he thought it was meaningless, but when we spoke, it became clear his subconscious was showing him his struggle with unfinished growth. He had a pattern of starting projects but never completing them. His destiny was calling him higher, but his fear of failure stopped him from finishing. His dream was not random, it was a mirror. And once he began to recognize the pattern, he made a conscious decision to finish what he started. Slowly, the dream changed. In time, he saw himself reaching the top, and soon after, his life followed. This is the power of dreams. They reveal what your conscious mind avoids. They expose the fears you bury and the desires you deny. But more than that, they can show you the path your soul longs to take. Dreams are not always literal. Often they are symbolic. But symbols are the language of the subconscious, and the subconscious is directly connected to your destiny. Why does this matter for your nights? Because what you rehearse before sleep often shapes the dreams that follow. If you fall asleep rehearsing fear, your dreams will echo fear. If you fall asleep rehearsing peace, your dreams will reflect peace. If you fall asleep with a vision of your future, your dreams will begin to align with that vision. You are not just a passive receiver of dreams, you are a participant in shaping the dialogue. This is why I encourage you to approach your nights as intentional conversations. Before you close your eyes, ask your subconscious a question. Whisper it aloud. What do I need to release? What do I need to learn? What step is calling me next? Then trust that your dreams will begin to speak. You may not understand them immediately. You may need time, patience, and reflection. But if you pay attention, you will notice patterns, and those patterns will point you toward growth. One of the most common dreams people experience is being chased. They wake up sweating, heart racing, as if danger were real. But often this dream is not about external danger, It is about avoidance. It reveals something within you that you have been running from, a decision, a truth, a part of yourself you do not want to face. When you stop dismissing the dream and begin to ask, "What am I running from in my life?" you allow the dream to guide you. And when you face it in waking life, the dream often disappears. In the same way, dreams of flying often point to freedom, freedom you long for but have not yet embraced. Dreams of falling can reveal insecurity, a lack of support, or the feeling of being out of control. Dreams of open doors and bright light often symbolize opportunities calling you forward. These are not accidents. They are reflections. They are the voice of destiny speaking in symbols your soul can understand. But here is the most beautiful truth: you can shape the dialogue. By choosing what you feed your subconscious before sleep, you choose the tone of the conversation. If you feed it chaos, it will speak in chaos. If you feed it vision, it will speak in vision. This is why night rituals are so powerful. A whispered affirmation, a moment of gratitude, a visualization of your desired future. These are not small practices. They are invitations for your dreams to align with your destiny. I once began a practice of asking my subconscious to show me my next step before sleep. I would close my eyes, breathe deeply, and whisper, "Show me what I need to see. Lead me where I need to go." At first, my dreams felt random, but with time I noticed themes. Certain images repeated, certain emotions surfaced. I began to see connections, and slowly I realized my subconscious had been guiding me all along. I had just never been listening. This is what I want you to try tonight. Before you sleep, set an intention. Invite your subconscious into dialogue. Do not demand answers. Simply open the door. Say, "I am ready to listen. I am ready to learn. I am ready to step closer to my destiny." Then fall asleep with trust. When you wake, take a moment to reflect. Write down what you remember, even if it seems small. Patterns will emerge with time, and those patterns will guide you. Remember, your dreams are not just random flickers of imagination. They are a bridge between your inner self and your future self. They are a hidden dialogue, and the more you listen, the more clearly you will hear. If you ignore them, you silence guidance. But if you pay attention, you awaken a map, and that map will lead you to a life aligned with your destiny. If this message has touched you, share it with someone who dismisses their dreams as meaningless. Let them know that their nights are sacred, that their subconscious is speaking, that their destiny is closer than they think. And subscribe so we can continue walking this journey together, because your dreams are not random and neither is your life. The dialogue is happening. The only question is, will you listen? Chapter 8. The Art of Surrender. Letting sleep carry your becoming. Surrender is a word many misunderstand. They imagine it as weakness, as giving up, as letting life crush them without resistance. But true surrender is not defeat. True surrender is power. It is the decision to release what you cannot control and to trust the process that is shaping you. And nowhere is surrender more important than in the quiet hours of the night when you lie down and let sleep take over. For in those hours you are not in charge. Your conscious mind fades, your body softens, and your subconscious, the architect of your becoming, begins its sacred work. Most people resist even in sleep. They carry tension in their shoulders, heaviness in their chest, knots in their stomach. They close their eyes but keep fighting battles in their minds. They replay conversations, analyze failures, predict disasters. They think they are resting, but they are not. They are rehearsing war in the silence. And so they wake up weary, as if they never truly slept. Their bodies are tired not because of hours missed, but because of resistance carried. But what if you could allow sleep to become your ally? What if you could surrender not into chaos, but into peace? What if each night, instead of dragging the weight of yesterday into your dreams, you allowed yourself to be carried by a higher rhythm, one that rewrites your identity, restores your strength, and shifts your reality? That is the art of surrendering to sleep. Surrender means loosening your grip. It means admitting that you do not need to solve every problem before morning. It means allowing your subconscious to work in silence without your interference. Too many believe their worth is tied to constant effort, constant thinking, constant striving. But the truth is, transformation often happens when you are not forcing it. Growth often happens when you stop digging up the seed and let it rest in the soil. Sleep is that soil, and surrender is the water that lets it grow. I remember lying awake during a season of my life when responsibilities pressed hard on me. Every night I tried to fix everything in my mind before I could sleep. I believed rest was only deserved once I had solved it all. But the harder I tried, the more restless I became. It was only when I whispered, I release, I trust, I surrender, that something shifted. My body softened, my mind quieted, and as I slept, I woke with clarity that I could not have found by forcing. That night taught me a truth. I had forgotten surrender is not weakness, it is alignment. It is opening the door for wisdom, peace, and strength that my conscious striving could not create. Why is surrender so difficult? Because the ego hates losing control. It clings. It insists. It tells you that if you do not worry, everything will fall apart. But the ego is a liar. It thrives on fear, and fear thrives on control. Surrender, on the other hand, is the language of trust. It says, I have done what I can for today. Now I release the rest into hands greater than mine. That posture invites peace. That posture invites transformation. Imagine your nights as rivers. Some fight the current, thrashing, exhausting themselves until they drown in their own resistance. Others surrender to the flow, letting the river carry them forward without effort. Both are in the same water, but one is weary and one is free. Your nights are no different. The river of sleep can carry you into renewal, but only if you surrender to its flow. This surrender is not passive. It is intentional. It is choosing what you release and what you hold. It is whispering words that align your subconscious with peace instead of chaos. It is creating space for your becoming to unfold without interference. When you surrender before sleep, you give your subconscious permission to rewrite, to reframe, to rebuild. And when you wake, you carry the fruit of that hidden work. Tonight, I invite you to practice this art. Before you close your eyes, take a deep breath. Exhale slowly, as if releasing the weight of the day. Whisper aloud, I surrender. I let go of what I cannot control. I release the past. I open myself to peace. I trust that while I sleep, I am being remade. Repeat it until your body responds, until your muscles soften, until your heart believes. And then let yourself drift, not into chaos, but into surrender. There will be nights when the ego resists. There will be nights when fear shouts louder than peace. Do not fight harder, surrender deeper. Fear feeds on resistance. But when you stop fighting, when you release, fear has nothing to hold on to. It dissolves. And what remains is calm clarity and a subconscious free to work on your behalf. This is the gift of surrender. It allows transformation to happen without your conscious interference. Just as the body heals wounds in the silence of sleep, the subconscious heals identity in the silence of surrender. You do not see it. You cannot force it. But when you wake, you know something has shifted. You feel lighter. You think clearer. You move braver, not because you fought harder, but because you surrendered deeper. Remember, this surrender is not the end of your power. It is the beginning of it. It is not the end of effort. It is the alignment of effort. It is not giving up. It is giving over. And when you give over, you discover that you were never meant to carry it all alone. Something greater than you, deeper than you, wiser than you, is already at work. Your job is not to control, but to trust, not to resist, but to release, not to fight the river, but to flow with it. If these words have met you where you are, share them with someone who lies awake every night fighting battles. They were never meant to fight alone. Remind them that surrender is not weakness, but strength. And subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together night after night, learning the art of surrender and letting sleep carry us into the lives we are becoming. Chapter 9. The Power of Consistency. Small nightly shifts that rewrite your reality. Transformation rarely comes in explosions. It does not arrive in sudden lightning that forever changes the landscape. Instead, true transformation happens in rhythm, quiet, steady, consistent. A drop of water falling in the same place carves through stone. A small flame nurtured each night becomes a fire strong enough to light the path ahead. And in the same way, the small nightly practices you choose, repeated with faith, have the power to rewrite your reality. Most people underestimate the power of small things. They believe only big changes count. They wait for the perfect moment, the dramatic breakthrough, the miraculous shift. And while waiting, they do nothing. But what they fail to see is that small shifts done consistently shape destiny more than rare dramatic bursts. Because it is not what you do once that defines you, it is what you rehearse every day and every night. The subconscious is like a child. It learns through repetition. It does not believe what it hears once. It believes what it hears often. If you tell it every night, "I am not enough," it will learn unworthiness. If you tell it every night, "I am safe, I am growing, I am strong," it will learn security and strength. You are always training your subconscious, whether you mean to or not. The question is not if you are shaping it, but how. I remember a woman who longed to change her life but felt overwhelmed. Every day she set massive goals, only to collapse under their weight. At night she would whisper, "Tomorrow I will change everything." But tomorrow came and the weight of everything crushed her again. She thought she lacked discipline, but what she really lacked was rhythm. When she finally committed to one small nightly practice, writing 3 lines of gratitude before sleep, something shifted. At first, it seemed too simple, too insignificant. But over weeks, her perspective began to change. She fell asleep noticing abundance instead of lack. Her mornings felt lighter. Her days carried more joy. And soon, that small practice rippled into bigger changes. Her relationships improved. Her opportunities expanded. Her self-worth grew. The shift did not come from one dramatic leap. It came from the power of consistency. Why does consistency matter so much? Because the subconscious craves patterns. It finds safety in repetition. It trusts what is familiar. When you feed it new truths consistently, those truths become familiar. And once they are familiar, they become natural. Consistency turns discipline into instinct, effort into ease, practice into identity. You no longer have to force yourself to believe, you simply are. But here is the problem: most people quit too soon. They plant seeds but dig them up before they can grow. They whisper affirmations for 3 nights and wonder why nothing has changed. They visualize for a week and lose faith when results do not arrive. They treat transformation like instant coffee, forgetting that destiny is not built in minutes, but in seasons. The subconscious is soil, and soil takes time. It does not matter how powerful the seed is, without consistency, nothing grows. Think of the musician who practices scales every night. At first, the notes are clumsy, awkward, unnatural. But with repetition, the fingers learn, the body remembers. Eventually, music flows without thought. The same is true for your subconscious. At first, new beliefs feel awkward, even false. But with nightly repetition, they become second nature. And once they are second nature, reality shifts effortlessly. This is why I tell you, do not despise small nightly practices. A whispered affirmation, a few minutes of visualization, a journal of gratitude, a breath of surrender. These are not small things. They are drops of water carving stone. They are sparks becoming flames. They are the rhythms that will reshape your entire reality if you stay faithful. I once committed to a simple nightly ritual before bed. I would breathe deeply 3 times, then whisper one truth I wanted to believe. Sometimes it was, I am enough. Sometimes it was, I am safe. Sometimes it was, my future is expanding. Night after night I repeated it. Some nights I doubted, some nights I felt nothing, but I stayed consistent. And months later I realized that the truths I whispered had become my natural beliefs. My life began to align with them not because of dramatic breakthroughs, but because of quiet consistency. The danger of inconsistency is that it convinces you nothing is happening. Because transformation is subtle, you may not notice it daily. But subtle does not mean small. Just as a child grows quietly each night unseen, your subconscious is being reshaped in silence. And one day you wake up and realize everything is different. You speak differently. You act differently. You attract differently. Not because of one moment, but because of countless nights of rehearsal. Consistency is the bridge between desire and destiny. Anyone can desire change. Anyone can dream of a better life. But only those who show up night after night, even when it feels insignificant, will see destiny unfold. And the beauty is, you do not need perfection. You only need persistence. If you miss a night, return the next. If you falter, begin again. The power is not in flawless performance, but in faithful repetition. Tonight I want you to choose one small practice. Just one. Maybe it is whispering an affirmation. Maybe it is visualizing your future. Maybe it is writing down gratitude. Whatever it is, commit to it. Do not measure its power by how dramatic it feels. Trust the process. Trust the rhythm. Trust that small nightly shifts create massive lifelong change. Remember this, your reality is not shaped by what you do occasionally. It is shaped by what you do consistently. Each night you are training your subconscious. Each night you are planting seeds. Each night you are carving stone. Choose wisely, stay faithful, and trust that the harvest will come. If this truth has stirred something inside you, share it with someone who feels overwhelmed by change. Let them know they do not need to change everything at once, that consistency in small shifts is enough. And subscribe so we can walk this journey together, night after night, building the rhythm of transformation that will rewrite reality. Chapter 10. The Mirror of the Night. How Silence Reveals Your Truth. There is something sacred about the night. When the world grows quiet and the noise of the day finally fades, you are left face to face with yourself. No more distractions, no more endless voices pulling your attention, just silence. And in that silence, truth begins to rise. Some fear it because silence exposes what they have been running from. Others embrace it because silence is the mirror that shows them who they really are and who they are becoming. Most people fear stillness. They fill their nights with screens, endless scrolling noise and distractions. They fall asleep with the television on, with music too loud, with conversations that drain them. They do this because they are afraid of silence, afraid of what silence will reveal about their emptiness, their longing, their wounds. But silence is not the enemy. Silence is the healer. It is the mirror. And if you dare to look into it, you will find clarity you could never uncover in the noise. I once met a man who told me he could not fall asleep without noise in the background. He kept the TV on every night, not because he enjoyed it, but because he feared the stillness. He feared the thoughts that would rise when the world went quiet. He thought silence would destroy him. But when he finally faced it, something remarkable happened. At first, yes, the silence brought up pain, memories, regrets, fears. But as he kept surrendering to it night after night, the silence began to heal him. It showed him what he needed to forgive. It showed him what he needed to release. It showed him who he truly was beneath all the noise. Silence became his ally, and his nights became sacred. Silence is the mirror of the night. It reflects not just what is happening outside of you, but what is happening within you. And most of us live our days so distracted that we never truly see ourselves. We run, we chase, we perform, we pretend. But at night, when all of that is stripped away, the truth remains. The question is, will you face it or will you hide from it? When you dare to enter silence before sleep, you create a space for transformation. You allow your subconscious to speak clearly without interference. You open a door for wisdom to flow, and in that space you see what must change, what must grow, what must be released. Silence is uncomfortable only when you resist it. When you embrace it, silence becomes peace. Think of silence as a cleansing fire. At first it burns away the illusions you have clung to. It burns away false beliefs, unhealed wounds, hidden fears. This can feel uncomfortable. But if you stay, if you let the silence do its work, you will find that beneath the ashes lies your truest self. A self not shaped by fear, but by truth. A self not buried under noise, but alive with clarity. Why is this so important at night? Because the last voice you hear before you sleep echoes in your subconscious for hours. If that voice is noise, chaos, or fear, your subconscious will rehearse it all night. But if that voice is silence, sacred healing silence, your subconscious will find rest. It will rebuild you from a place of peace instead of confusion. Silence becomes the ground where your new reality is written. I remember the first time I embraced silence before sleep. I turned off all distractions, laid in bed, and just listened. At first, my mind shouted at me. Every thought, every regret, every worry rose like waves. I wanted to reach for my phone to escape, but I stayed. And slowly the noise inside me began to settle. Beneath it, I heard something I had missed for years, the quiet voice of truth. It told me I was holding on to things I needed to release. It told me I was capable of more than I believed. It told me that peace was not found in distraction, but in surrender. That night changed the way I saw silence forever. The night is a mirror, and silence is the reflection. It will not flatter you. It will not lie. It will show you what is real, and that is a gift. Because only when you see clearly can you change. Only when you face your truth can you step into your becoming. Do not fear the silence tonight. Welcome it. Sit with it. Let it show you what you need to see. And if it feels uncomfortable, remember discomfort is the birthplace of growth. The silence is not punishing you, it is preparing you. It is removing the noise so you can finally hear the voice that matters most. Tonight I invite you to create a ritual of silence. Turn off the distractions, dim the lights, breathe deeply, and simply be. Do not rush to fill the space. Do not fight what rises. Let the silence speak. You may hear pain at first, but if you stay, you will also hear healing. You may see wounds at first, but if you stay, you will also see freedom. Silence will become your teacher, your mirror, your guide. And here is the most beautiful truth. When you fall asleep from a place of silence, you wake with clarity. Your mornings feel lighter, your choices sharper, your path clearer. Because silence has refined you in the night. It has whispered truths your busy day could never reveal. It has anchored you in who you really are. So tonight, when the world grows quiet, do not run from the silence. Run into it. Look into the mirror of the night and let it reveal you. For in that reflection lies your freedom, your healing, your becoming. If this has spoken to you, share it with someone who fears silence. Let them know that silence is not emptiness. It is fullness waiting to be discovered. And subscribe so we can keep walking together through these nights, embracing silence and letting it shape us into who we are destined to be. Chapter 11. Becoming While You Rest. The invisible work of the night. There is a mystery hidden inside your nights that most never recognize. While you rest, while your eyes are closed and your body lies still, your mind, your heart, and your soul are at work. Not the kind of work you see in the daytime tasks, conversations, responsibilities, but a different kind of work, invisible yet profound. It is the work of becoming. It is the silent rewriting of your patterns, your beliefs, and your identity. And though you may not see it happening, its evidence shows up in who you are becoming when you wake. Think about it. The body heals while you sleep. Broken tissues repair wounds, close energy renews. You do not have to command it. You do not have to remind your cells to rebuild. They simply do it because it is written into the rhythm of life. If the body knows how to heal in silence, how much more does the soul know how to grow in the hidden work of the night? What if every night was not only healing your body, but also reshaping your destiny? Most people collapse into sleep as if it is only an escape. They treat it as the end of the day, nothing more. But sleep is not just escape, it is creation. It is the time when your subconscious organizes everything you fed it during the day. It sorts through your emotions, your thoughts, your experiences, and decides what to keep, what to release, and what to transform. And this process is not random. It is the foundation of your becoming. The tragedy is that many feed their subconscious poison before sleep. They go to bed angry, anxious, drowning in fear, filling their minds with chaos. Then they wonder why they wake heavy, exhausted, stuck. They do not realize they are planting seeds of decay in the soil of the night. But just as you would not plant weeds in a garden you hope to see flourish, you cannot plant fear in your subconscious and expect peace in your mornings. What you sow in the night, you reap in your days. I once spoke with a young woman who told me she always woke up with dread, even though nothing in her life was outwardly wrong. We talked about her nights, and she admitted she fell asleep every night, scrolling through news headlines, arguments online, and endless comparisons on social media. Her last thoughts before sleep were always filled with fear and inadequacy. Her subconscious rehearsed those lies all night, and she woke carrying them as truth. When she began to change her nightly rhythm, turning off her phone, reading something uplifting, whispering affirmations, her mornings changed. The invisible work of the night shifted because she changed what she fed it. This is why your nights matter. They are not wasted hours. They are sacred hours. Hours when you are being reshaped quietly, invisibly, powerfully. Every night you are becoming something. The only question is, are you becoming by accident, or are you becoming with intention? The invisible work of the night happens in layers. First, your body rests. Your nervous system calms, your breathing slows, your muscles release. Then your subconscious begins to process, filing away what is useful, discarding what is not. But deeper still, your spirit whispers. It whispers truths you could not hear in the noise of the day. It whispers guidance, correction, encouragement. And if you listen, if you set your nights with intention, you can align with this invisible work instead of fighting against it. Becoming while you rest means trusting that growth does not always require your control. It means recognizing that rest itself is an act of creation. It means allowing the night to do for you what effort could never accomplish. Too many burn themselves out trying to force change in the day, forgetting that the most powerful shifts happen when you are not striving but surrendering. I remember a season when I felt stuck, like nothing I did could break the cycle I was in. I pushed harder in the day, working late, exhausting myself, believing that more effort would bring the breakthrough. But the harder I pushed, the more trapped I felt. Then, almost out of desperation, I decided to shift my nights instead of my days. I created a rhythm of peace before sleep. I whispered truths over myself. I visualized my future as if it were already unfolding. I surrendered my fears. And as I rested, something shifted inside me. Not overnight, not dramatically, but quietly, consistently. My mornings felt different. My choices felt bolder. My reality began to shift. Not because I forced it in the day, but because I allowed it to unfold in the night. The invisible work of the night is like the growth of a tree. You do not see it stretching roots deeper into the soil, but the roots are growing. You do not see the hidden strengthening of its trunk, but it is becoming unshakable. One day you wake up and the tree has grown taller, stronger, fuller. That is what your nights are doing for you. Quiet, unseen, but undeniable. This is why I challenge you to approach your nights differently. Do not collapse into them mindlessly. Enter them intentionally. Ask yourself, what do I want my subconscious to rehearse tonight? What do I want to become while I sleep? Then feed it truth, peace, vision, love. Create a sacred space before you close your eyes. Breathe, release, surrender, align, and then rest, knowing the invisible work is being done. When you wake, trust the evidence. Notice how your thoughts begin to shift, how your decisions begin to align, how your reality begins to reflect the seeds you planted in the silence. You may not see it every morning, but stay faithful. Just as a farmer trusts the seed long before he sees the harvest, you must trust the invisible work of the night. It is happening whether you notice it or not. Remember this: you are not just sleeping, you are becoming. You are not just resting, you are rewriting. You are not just closing your eyes, you are opening the door to transformation that no amount of striving could create. The night is not empty. It is full of invisible work, and that work is shaping your destiny. If this truth resonates with you, share it with someone who feels stuck in their days. Let them know their nights hold the key to transformation. And subscribe so we can continue this journey together, learning to trust the invisible work of the night and becoming more than we ever imagined, quietly, faithfully, powerfully. Chapter 12. The Alignment of Thought and Dream. Rewriting Destiny in the Night. Every transformation begins in the invisible. Before it appears in your hands, before it shows up in your circumstances, it is born as a thought, as a vision, as a belief. And nowhere is this more evident than in the space between your waking thoughts and your nightly dreams. That space is the bridge between what you consciously desire and what you subconsciously create. If your days and your nights are aligned, your destiny unfolds with power. But if they are divided, if you think one way in the light and another way in the dark, you will always feel torn between who you are and who you want to become. Your thoughts are seeds, and your dreams are soil. The subconscious does not care whether the seed is positive or negative. It will grow whatever you plant. This is why so many people live in cycles of fear or lack. They spend their days rehearsing scarcity, comparison, anger, and then they fall asleep with those same patterns echoing in their minds. The subconscious accepts the seeds without resistance, waters them in the night, and soon enough those patterns grow into the reality they experience. Not because life is against them, but because their thoughts and dreams are aligned with limitation instead of possibility. But you can change the alignment. You can take ownership of your seeds. You can choose to plant thoughts of growth, gratitude, courage, and vision during the day, and then carry those same truths into the night. When thought and dream begin to echo each other, the subconscious receives a unified message. And with unity comes power. Reality bends more quickly to alignment than to divided intention. I once knew a man who constantly affirmed during the day that he wanted success, but at night he replayed every failure, every insecurity, every fear. His days said, "I believe in my future," but his nights whispered, "I am not enough." The result was conflict. His subconscious did not know what to create because the messages were divided. Only when he began to align his nights with his days, replacing anxious thoughts before bed with affirmations and visualizations, did his reality begin to shift. It was not the power of words alone, it was the power of alignment. The danger is subtle. You may spend your day speaking hope, but if you end your night in fear, the subconscious leans toward fear. Because the last impression before sleep is powerful. It lingers, it echoes, it shapes the soil of your dreams. That is why the minutes before sleep are some of the most important of your entire life. They are the gateway through which your subconscious receives instruction for the night. This is where intentionality comes in. Imagine standing at the door of your subconscious each night. You hold in your hands the thoughts you want it to carry. You can hand it fear, worry, resentment, or you can hand it courage, vision, and gratitude. Whatever you choose, it will carry into your dreams, and your dreams will carry into your reality. This is not magic, this is alignment. Think of your subconscious like a builder. During the day, you give it blueprints through your thoughts. At night, while you sleep, it works quietly building according to the designs you provided. If your blueprints are chaotic, the structure of your reality will be unstable. But if your blueprints are aligned with truth and vision, your subconscious builds something strong, something beautiful, something lasting. Every night is construction. The only question is, are you providing the right blueprints? I remember practicing this alignment for the first time with intention. I would choose one thought during the day, something I wanted to believe, something aligned with my future. For example, I am worthy of abundance. Then before sleep, I would repeat that same thought. I would visualize it as real, feel it in my body. Imagine myself living in that truth. And as I drifted into sleep, I held it like a seed in my hands, offering it to the soil of my subconscious. Over time, I began to notice the alignment taking root. My dreams began to reflect worthiness instead of lack. My days carried more confidence. Opportunities I had overlooked began to open. The alignment of thought and dream had shifted my reality. This is the power of unity. When your days and nights speak the same language, your destiny accelerates. It is as if the current of life catches you, pulling you forward with momentum you no longer have to force. Because your conscious and subconscious are no longer in conflict, they are allies. And when the mind and the heart agree, reality has no choice but to follow. But alignment is not automatic. It requires choice. It requires awareness. It requires discipline to notice what you are feeding yourself in the final minutes before sleep. Ask yourself tonight, what seeds am I planting in my subconscious? What thoughts will echo in my dreams? Are my nights aligned with the future I desire or with the fears I want to escape? The answers will reveal the harvest you are walking into. Alignment does not mean perfection. There will be nights when fear rises, when doubt whispers, when old patterns resurface. Do not be discouraged. The soil of the subconscious is patient. One fearful night will not destroy a garden planted with weeks of truth. What matters is persistence. Return again and again to alignment, and your destiny will continue to bend toward growth. Remember this, you are not powerless in shaping your nights. You are not at the mercy of random dreams or restless sleep. You are a co-creator. Every night you stand at the door of your subconscious with seeds in your hand. Choose wisely, plant with intention, align your thoughts and your dreams, and you will align your destiny. If this message has touched you, share it with someone who feels trapped in cycles of fear. Let them know they are not broken, they are simply planting the wrong seeds. And subscribe so we can keep building together night after night, aligning thought and dream, and rewriting destiny in the silence of sleep. Chapter 13. Planting the future in your subconscious garden. Every person carries within them a garden. It is not made of soil or grass, but of thoughts, beliefs, and visions. Each night as you fall asleep, you stand at the edge of that garden with seeds in your hands. The seeds are your final thoughts, your whispered words, the images you hold before your eyes close. Whether you realize it or not, you are planting something every night. And whatever you plant, your subconscious waters while you sleep. The tragedy is that many plant weeds instead of fruit. They go to bed replaying arguments, drowning in anxiety, worrying about what tomorrow will bring. These are seeds of fear, seeds of chaos, seeds of limitation. They plant them unconsciously night after night, and then they wake wondering why their lives feel heavy, why their days are filled with struggle. They do not see that the harvest is simply reflecting the seeds they planted. Reality does not betray you, it mirrors what you sow. But you can change the garden, you can choose the seeds, you can stand at the gate of your subconscious and say, tonight I plant peace, tonight I plant courage, tonight I plant abundance, tonight I plant healing, and as you rest, The garden of your inner life begins to shift. You wake not with weeds choking your spirit, but with fruit, strength, clarity, joy that nourishes your destiny. I remember a woman who told me her nights were always restless, her mornings always filled with dread. She believed she was cursed with anxiety, that peace was simply impossible for her. But when she began to change her nightly rhythm, turning her final thoughts into seeds of gratitude and affirmation, something shifted. At first the weeds still rose. Old fears still tried to choke her peace, but with persistence the fruit began to grow. She woke lighter, her mornings filled with hope instead of dread. Her reality shifted not because of some dramatic event, but because she learned to plant her subconscious garden with intention. This is the secret many overlook. Your nights are not passive, they are creative. Your subconscious is always at work, always watering, always growing. The only question is, what seeds are you giving it? Fear or faith, scarcity or abundance, wounds or healing. Whatever you hand it, it will multiply. Planting the future in your subconscious garden means choosing vision over fear. It means seeing yourself not as you are now, but as who you are becoming, and planting that image each night. If you want to be strong, whisper strength. If you want to be free, imagine freedom. If you want abundance, feel gratitude as if it were already yours. These are not fantasies, these are seeds. And the subconscious does not know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It simply accepts the seed and grows it into your reality. Think of a farmer. He does not plant weeds and expect wheat. He does not scatter seeds and walk away hopeless. He plants with intention. He waters with patience. He trusts the soil even when he cannot see what is happening beneath the surface. You must treat your subconscious the same way. Plant deliberately. Feed it faith. Trust the process. And in time you will reap a harvest that matches the seeds you planted. The nights are especially powerful because they are unguarded. In the day you may filter your thoughts, wear masks, pretend strength. But at night, when the conscious mind softens, the subconscious is wide open. It accepts whatever you offer it. That is why the final moments before sleep are sacred. They are when the gate of your garden is wide and the seeds you plant sink deep. Protect those moments. Do not hand them to fear. Do not hand them to distraction. Offer them to vision. I once committed to planting a single seed every night. It was this: I am growing into someone unshakable. At first I doubted. At first my mornings felt the same, but I kept planting. Night after night I offered that seed to my subconscious, and slowly I began to notice changes. I reacted differently to challenges. I felt steadier in uncertainty. Life still tested me, but I no longer crumbled. I had become unshakable, not through effort alone, but through the quiet harvest of the subconscious garden. Do not underestimate the power of small seeds. A single truth planted repeatedly can transform an entire life. A single vision rehearsed nightly can shift destiny. The subconscious does not need grandeur, it needs consistency. You do not need to plant 100 different seeds. Choose 1 or 2 and water them faithfully. In time, they will grow roots so deep that no storm can uproot them. Tonight, I invite you to walk into your subconscious garden with intention. Hold your seeds carefully. Choose them wisely. Ask yourself, what do I want to wake with tomorrow? What harvest do I want to see in my life? Then plant accordingly. Whisper truths that align with your destiny. Visualize the life you are becoming. Release the weeds of fear and rest knowing that while you sleep, your garden is growing. Remember this: your subconscious is not your enemy. It is the most fertile soil you will ever touch. It is not against you. It is waiting for instruction. Give it weeds and it will grow weeds. Give it fruit and it will grow fruit. Plant the future in its soil and your reality will align. If this message has stirred something inside you, share it with someone who feels trapped in cycles of fear. Let them know their nights can be sacred, that their subconscious is soil, that their future is waiting to be planted. And subscribe so we can continue planting seeds together night after night until the harvest of destiny arrives. Chapter 14. Resetting the Inner Compass, a call to awaken your standards. There comes a moment in every journey when you must stop, turn inward, and ask yourself a question that pierces through the noise. Am I truly living or am I only existing? This is not a question of achievement, money, or even happiness. It is a question of alignment. Are you aligned with who you were created to be, or are you drifting on the current of old habits, old fears, old compromises? If your nights are filled with unconscious chaos, your days will always reflect confusion. If your nights are rooted in intentional vision, your days will bloom with clarity. Tonight is the night to reset. Tonight is the night to raise your standards and refuse to go back to sleep in mediocrity. So many people live in a half-awake state. They go through the motions, check the boxes, do what is expected. They speak of dreams, but they settle for routines. They crave freedom, but they submit to fear. Their compass points everywhere and nowhere. And because they never reset, they keep circling the same mountains year after year, decade after decade. Do not let this be your story. Do not wait until regret carves its weight into your heart. Stop now. Reset now. Claim your nights as sacred ground where destiny is rewritten. The reset begins with honesty. You cannot shift what you refuse to face. Ask yourself, what thoughts am I rehearsing before sleep? What standards have I lowered in silence? What do my nights reveal about my true beliefs? These questions are not comfortable, but they are necessary, because your subconscious does not lie. It reveals what you truly believe, not what you pretend to believe. And until you confront those truths, you cannot reset your compass. Do not be afraid of what you uncover. The weeds in your subconscious are not evidence of failure. They are simply evidence of neglect. A garden untended grows wild, but the same soil that grew weeds can grow fruit if you take responsibility. The reset is your chance to reclaim the soil, to pull up what no longer serves you, and to plant what aligns with your highest self. Raising your standards means refusing to fall asleep as the version of yourself that tolerates fear, mediocrity, and doubt. It means holding yourself accountable for what you allow into your subconscious. No longer can you afford to drift into sleep after scrolling through distractions or replaying old wounds. You must decide that your final thoughts are sacred. They are the gatekeepers of your destiny. Protect them, choose them, elevate them. I remember when I first raised my own standard. I had fallen into the habit of ending my nights in distraction, numbing myself with noise so I would not have to face my own emptiness. But one night I caught my reflection in the dark window and felt the sting of truth. I was betraying myself by lowering my standard. That night I reset. I chose to end my evening in silence, to breathe deeply, to plant one single vision in my subconscious. And from that night onward, I felt a shift. Not because life suddenly changed, but because I had changed the way I entered my nights. My compass was no longer spinning wildly. It was set firmly on the future I desired. This reset is not just about thought. It is about identity. Who are you becoming as you fall asleep? Are you stepping into the self who is free, powerful, abundant, or are you clinging to the self who is broken, fearful, small? Every night is a rehearsal of identity. And identity is the soil of destiny. Resetting means refusing to practice being the old you. It means rehearsing the new you night after night until it becomes the only version of you that feels natural. Ask yourself, what do I truly believe I deserve? What am I no longer willing to tolerate? What is the standard I will hold for my nights, my thoughts, my future? These are not just reflective questions, they are declarations. Every answer you speak is a line drawn in the sand. Each answer is a promise to yourself, and your subconscious listens to promises with more weight than it listens to excuses. Do not settle for halfway shifts. Do not plant new seeds while leaving the weeds untouched. Reset fully. Be ruthless with the beliefs that no longer serve you. Tear them out by the roots. Say goodbye to them with finality, and then plant deliberately with care, with vision. Because a half reset is no reset at all. You may feel resistance as you attempt this. The old self does not die quietly. It will whisper, "You have tried this before and failed. Nothing will change. It is too late." Recognize these voices for what they are, echoes of a version of you that no longer exists. Thank them for their service, but do not obey them. Reset means silence to those lies. Reset means loyalty to your becoming. Tonight, when you close your eyes, make a vow. Vow to yourself that you will no longer hand your subconscious the scraps of distraction. Vow that you will give it only the food of vision, gratitude, and courage. Vow that your nights will be the sacred soil of destiny. And if you stumble, reset again. The compass may falter, but it can always be corrected. What matters is not perfection, but persistence. If you have listened this far, it is because something deep within you refuses to settle. That part of you is your truest self, the one who knows you are capable of more. Honor that self tonight. Do not betray it with low standards. Reset your compass, raise your standard, and walk into sleep as the person you are becoming. If these words have spoken to you, let them echo louder than fear. Share them with someone you love, because everyone needs a reset. And subscribe so we can walk together on this path of alignment, night after night, shift after shift, until the life we dream becomes the life we live. Chapter 15. The final call. Awaken fully into the life that is waiting. There comes a night when you can no longer lie to yourself. A night when the comfort of drifting, the safety of routine, the excuse of fear no longer satisfies the hunger inside your soul. That hunger is not for sleep, not for rest, not even for peace. It is hunger for awakening. You know deep down that you were not created to circle in the same loop forever. You know that the life you are meant for is not waiting in some distant tomorrow. It is pressing against the edges of your present, asking to be born. And now here you stand at the threshold of decision. The question is no longer, can you change? The question is, will you answer the call? Every chapter you have heard, every truth you have received, has been guiding you toward this moment. A moment of decision, a moment of declaration, a moment when you must stop rehearsing possibility and start embodying destiny. Transformation does not happen because you merely listen or merely hope or merely dream. Transformation happens because you step into it with your entire being, because you choose without hesitation to become the person your soul already knows you are. Reality is not distant. It is alive, breathing, shifting around the vibration you carry. You have felt it through these words. You know it is true. The world bends not to the strongest, not to the luckiest, but to the ones who dare to hold themselves to the highest standard of becoming. And that standard is now yours. No one else can carry it for you. No one else can decide for you. This final call is not for the faint-hearted. It is for you, if you are ready to burn the bridge to your old self and step into the fire of transformation. Tonight, when you close your eyes, you cannot allow yourself to sleep the way you once did. Sleep is no longer unconscious escape, it is conscious creation. Each night from now on is sacred soil, each thought a seed, each dream a blueprint. Do not waste it. Do not hand it to fear, to distraction, to apathy. Claim it, own it, shape it. Let your nights become a declaration of who you are becoming, until your days have no choice but to reflect the change. There will be moments when you falter. There will be nights when the old fears knock on the door. But remember, you are not defined by a single night or even by a season of struggle. You are defined by your persistence, your refusal to give up, your decision to rise again and again. This is what separates those who drift from those who transform. Not talent, not luck, but the decision to continue to persist, to embody. You must feel the urgency. Life is short. The days you waste in hesitation will never return. The nights you give to distraction will never be restored. Every moment is either feeding your destiny or draining it. There is no neutral. You are either building or decaying, rising or sinking, becoming or betraying yourself. And now that you know the truth, you can no longer hide behind ignorance. The responsibility is in your hands. But this responsibility is not a burden. It is freedom. You are no longer a prisoner of chance, no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your reality. You have the soil, the seeds, the vision. The only step left is to embody, to walk forward without looking back, to refuse to shrink, to refuse to drift, to refuse to surrender to fear. You have everything you need to shift your life beginning tonight. Do you feel it? The pulse in your chest, the stirring in your spirit, the fire rising within you, that is the sound of destiny calling. It does not whisper politely, it roars. It demands. It invites you to risk everything for the life that is already yours in potential, and you must decide whether to silence it or to obey it. Those who silence it will return to sleep. Those who obey it will awaken into a life beyond imagination. Tonight is not the end of a book. It is the beginning of a life in which you no longer wait for permission, no longer beg for approval, no longer settle for survival. A life in which you embody strength, freedom, abundance, and truth. This is your final call, not to think, not to wish, but to embody, to breathe it, to live it, to become it. So as you lie down tonight, do not close your eyes as the old self. Close them as the new one. Feel the shift in your bones. See the vision in your mind. Declare the truth with your last waking breath. I am becoming who I was always meant to be. My reality is bending to my vibration. My nights are the birthplace of my destiny. My life is no longer drifting, it is shifting. This is the moment, this is the call, and this is the life that is waiting for you to step into it. Answer it now. Do not hesitate. Do not wait. The time is gone. The time is now. If these words have struck the deepest part of your soul, let them become your vow. Share them with someone who needs to awaken, because the world does not change when a few rise. It changes when many rise together. And subscribe so we may continue to walk this journey of transformation hand in hand, night after night, until the vision we dream becomes the reality we live. Awaken fully. This is your call. This is your shift. This is your life.